Hello, Gabriele Grea from Redmint Impresa Sociale here. In this session, we talk about green and circular procurement. The next minutes, we will talk about action plans for circularity, the paradigm shift behind circularity in public transport, some examples of procurement and tendering, and finally, we will have some recommendations on circular procurement and tendering. Let's start with an example of a company developing an action plan for circularity. It's ATB, the public transport operator of the city of Bergamo, which developed a vision of making their company circular public transport operator. For this, the specific objective is to increase environmental friendliness and sustainability, including financial sustainability, by combining operations with circular principles, focusing on avoiding, reducing consumption of critical resources, extending the life of the assets, including making investments more sustainable, and enabling circularity along the supply chain. The target areas of their action plan are internal processes, technologies and investment plan, and circular procurement. The action plan, developed by ATB together with its stakeholders and with the partners of the CE4CE project, develops along 7 main points. The first one, equip the infrastructure and new fleet with monitoring systems to optimize the use of energy and predictive maintenance. The second, the implementation of a photovoltaic roof at the depot, including options for storage. The third one, conduct analysis in order to define the parameters for the integration of storage options in the depots and to highlight potential synergies with renewable energy communities in the area. The fourth point refers to the test of the status of replaced batteries from e-buses for second life applications. The fifth point is related to the development of a plan for battery refurbishments and overhaul for the electric fleet in continuous transition. The sixth point is to develop an overall company circularity strategy covering several operational activities. The seventh point is to apply circularity principle to new procurement procedures in order to extract circularity value along the supply chain. Let's focus on this last point of the action plan of ITB. Extracting the benefits of circularity from the rolling stock production, operation, and end-of-life phases requires a paradigm shift in the assessment of the value which is generated in the procurement procedure. As instrument, we can take into account in the procedure exclusion grounds, selection, and awarding criteria. These elements have to be modulated, taking into account factors like the level of maturity of the supply chain, the bargaining power as a buyer, the critical mass of the procurement, and last but not least, the strategic relevance of circularity towards specific technical characteristics, sometimes quality of the solution and cost effectiveness. Pre-requirement to design circularity approaches to procurement and tendering is for sure to define the mission profile and the technical specifications of the framework in order to enable zero-emission buses. As the technological choices are influenced by the characteristics of the services and of the network, information on the field of operation of the rolling stocks is useful for the supplier in order to design a compliant offer and in some cases suggest different technological options. Let's have a look at some general requirements on materials, recyclability and reusability to be embedded in the procurement process. The tendering procedure of new rolling stock can fix minimum requirements, evaluate alternatives according to a common scale, or attribute additional awarding points to the most innovative and sustainable solutions. The design of circularity elements within the framework of a procurement process must identify exclusion grounds, selection and award criteria according to the importance given to the circularity principles, taking also into account the reachability of the thresholds and the technological and market maturity level of the solutions which are requested. Another field of application of circularity can be the requirements on covering and materials. The textile and plastic industries, in fact, appear to be one of the economic sectors most sensitive to the challenges of circular economy, with a broad experience in the recycling fields. As those materials are widely used in the furbishing of the vehicles, recycling criteria should always be integrated in the procurement process. Another relatively important aspect is connected to the requirements on the heating and cooling systems. As vehicle heating and cooling systems play a role in climate change, impacting energy consumption and contributing to greenhouse gas emissions, specific requirements have to be set in the procurement documents in order to guarantee the use of more advanced and environmentally friendly technologies. Even more relevant, in fact, of operations, energy recovery systems in buses offer several benefits, including reduced fuel consumption, extended range, and decreased emissions. These systems, like regenerative braking, convert kinetic energy during braking into usable energy, which can be stored and used to power the bus or assist in propulsion. When designing rolling stock and infrastructure, these systems can be embedded in vehicles or also in infrastructure, as in the case of supercapacitors, flywheels, etc. Now let's get to the perhaps more important element when combining circularity and procurement of rolling stock, the battery. When it comes to public transport electric vehicles, in fact, the choice of the appropriate technology and operational solutions, together with correct battery sizing, represent a strategic choice to be made in the planning phase. Concerning procurement, two main elements must be specified in the documentation in order to guarantee the respondence of the supply to circularity approach. Performance criteria and durability to ensure that the quality of batteries is compliant with the requirements and suitable for operations according to the planning. And the technical characteristics, data, availability and compatibility of the battery management system and other diagnostic tools. The reliability and availability of data, in fact, are fundamental in order to monitor a range of key factors for the correct and efficient functioning of the electric rolling stock, including real consumption and state of health of the batteries. But the importance of batteries for circularity do not only stand in the operational phase. Although the circularity debate around batteries largely focuses on the possibility of extending their lifespan through stationary applications, public transit operators must ensure that the purchased batteries generate at the end of their life minimal environmental impacts. Furthermore, particularly in Europe, recycling of batteries represents a must for the competitiveness of the whole system, and the recovery of raw materials is crucial for the wide-scale electrification of mobility. For this reason, PTOs must ensure that manufacturers and importers are able to process the batteries at the end of their life, directly or by joining dedicated collection and recycle systems. Conclude some general recommendations on how to embed circular approaches into procurement and tendering procedures. First of all, it's important to adopt a long-term and intergenerational perspective. Environmental and circular performance must be integrated into the economic assessment. Circularity criteria should be embedded in the tender specifications, and flexible and cooperative approaches must be considered in order to involve stakeholders and actors of the supply chain in the delivery of circularity. And last but not least, cross-authority and operator collaboration is fundamental to create knowledge and to create critical mass in order to bring circularity to a next level.